Morning Talk on SAFM.
The Higher Education Minister, Nzimande, has declared 2013 the year of the artisan, saying Africa needs more artisans as part of the national strategy to deal with the shortage of critical skills. In light of this, the issue of artisans will be discussed extensively at Africa Education Week. Why are we battling so much with this issue? Let's focus on it a little bit. Claire O'Donnell joins us on the line. She is Director for Africa Education Week. Claire, good morning.
Good morning, Vuyo.
So, Africa Education Week, what do you seek to achieve?
We are looking at the critical issues surrounding both basic and higher education.
Okay.
And we hope to bring all teachers and educators together so that they can share their experiences and ideas, and that we can stimulate the debate on how to improve the standard of education.
So is it another conference?
It is a conference and an exhibition. There is a very large learning expo which is free to attend, and there you'll find 120 workshops, all of the latest teaching and learning aids.
Okay.
And it's not just for teachers. We found that there's a very big gap between leaving school and finding your first job. So we introduced the career in data for high school learners and FET and university students.
Okay, but the focus on artisans, how is that going to pan out, and how will it enrich the effort to address our shortages in that kind of space?
There is, within the conference, within the stream on further and higher education, we have sessions dedicated specifically to the turnaround strategies for FETs.
Yeah.
Like how do we align the courses with the skills that are required by industry? You'll know that we have an aging population of artisans at the moment, and while artisans can earn good salaries, there still is very much a stigma in South Africa attached to the trades. And this impacts how FETs are viewed and then the number of students who are looking to go into them. I think there's too much emphasis on university degrees. And at the present, I think we are producing about 13,000 to 14,000 artisans, and we need to increase this number to 40 or 50,000.
Yeah. Where are these artisans produced from? Where does the training take place?
The training is taking place across the country. It's happening nationwide, but we really need to, the government has identified the FETs as key in driving the National Development Plan and ensuring that all South Africans have a decent standard of living and that poverty is reduced. You will find this in every province. They have FETs. So this is where it is taking place. Okay,
so where is Africa Education Week taking place?
Oh, African Education Week. It's taking place from the 20th to the 22nd of June at the Sandton Convention Centre.
Okay. And people who are interested in providing artisan training and who are interested in being artisans can also come there and see what it's all about?
They can go onto the website and they can register for a free pass for educationweek.co.za.
Okay. Claire, thank you very much.
Thank you for you.
Thank you for joining us, Claire O'Donnell, who is with the Program Director for Africa Education Week. Let's speak to Wilson Nzimande, who is an education and business consultant, and Sam Zungu, CEO of the Umfolozi College. Wilson, good morning to you.
Good morning to you and to all listeners of SAFM.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Sam, good morning to you and welcome as well.
Good morning, Vuyo, and good morning to all the listeners of SAFM.
Perhaps, Sam, just to start at the very basic point, what is an artisan?
Vuyo, an artisan is a person that will probably have a specific or acquired a specific trade, which could be done at an FET college, where there are certain routes that one would probably need to take in order to qualify as an artisan. Normally, it takes the route of going through a trade test, which we know through the old Manpower Training Act, that you will go either through the apprenticeship program, although it is known sometimes as Section 13. But we all know that with the new developments in the space of the FET colleges and higher education and training, that we have now the new programs called the National Certificate Vocational, which students will undergo, and they will then probably take a contract with a specific company where they will then do this training, because it cannot just be done by a college on its own. You will require some kind of a working relationship relationship with industry so that you can be able to train an artisan. So there are various trades or careers within the artisans. You could have guys in electrical, you could have guys who are trained as plumbers, and a whole variety of other skills that are required by the country and by most of the industries in South Africa.
So, just Wilson, from a business perspective, when it sounds like being an artisan offers so much scope and opportunity, why are we struggling to have artisans in South Africa?
There is a very bad history in South Africa when it comes to encouraging the masses to embrace the value of being an artisan. People have always over the years thought that in order to be highly regarded, either as skilled or as educated, you got to go for mainstream university qualifications, which are not necessarily the artisan qualifications. Now, over the past 3 years, there's been a huge drive, especially from the Department of Higher Education and Training, to ensure that they turn this around so that the numbers of the people enrolled at FET Colleges are growing phenomenally. Because if you look at the history and the trends of the developing countries, one of their key successes has been driven by the fact that they have intensified the training and development of artisans in their countries. Looking at what needs to be done in this country in terms of the strategic infrastructure development programs for the minister, there is no way they will survive without the success of this drive to actually entrench the training of the artisans in the country. This is gradually changing, and we are basically calling for all sectors of society to actually open their eyes and ensure that people are being encouraged to actually take the route of artisan development, because this has not necessarily been the case in the recent past.
So, I mean, it still doesn't make sense. We still find people who go to teachers training college, who go to nursing colleges. Why, to train to be police, security guards. Why has artisan training particularly fallen behind? Hey, Sam?
Well, if one may come in there.
Yeah, please do come in.
You'll know some of the people or the majority of our people will still consider this kind of jobs as dirty jobs, if one may call it that way. Remember, if for instance you are trained as plumber, and the shortage of plumbers in this country, it's enormous. And you still find that our young people will still perceive those kind of jobs as dirty jobs, because it means you have to wear an overall and then get your hands dirty. It's a stigma that is still there in our societies, that for me to be seen as a person who has success or has been successful in life or is making a living, I need to wear a suit or I need to look well, and then that's it. Now, what is happening is that there is a trend that has developed that our brothers and sisters from, certain countries are coming to South Africa and find that they have these skills. And what then happens is that our young people, when they see this, and you see that they will then start saying, now, jobs have been given to the foreigners and so on, but there's no interest within the country itself. So there's still that stigma, as Mr. Nzimande was saying, that there's a mind shift that has to happen, because if I have to wear an overall every day and then go to work, people will say, well, maybe he's not doing well. But if you can take, for instance, what the plumber will charge, just a call alone, you say, hey, I'm sitting here and my pipe is burst.
Yeah.
Can I get you over here? Just that call is a charge.
Yeah, it's about 700 these days, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let's take some calls at 0891 104 207. Let's find out. I mean, are you a plumber? Are you an artisan? What attracted you to the trade? Give us a call, 0891 104 207. Oh, there was a text message there. I thought I would read it. Let's check in with Nicholas on the road. Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, Vuyo. How are you?
I'm nice, and you?
I'm good, man. Vuyo, let me start by saying thanks for those guys that are putting efforts to attract guys to fall in the path of being an artisan.
Yeah.
I've been an artisan for about 4 or 5 years. Eventually, I went through it. I went through the program of Section 13, of which you have to have your N2, and you go through the company apprentice, then you go for training center. You qualified as artisan. But after that, it's up to you what you want. Most of people, they don't last. They didn't stay on the channel for long because of the challenges within it. But obviously, it needs the motivation of the guys that I went through it, or most of the time, so that they can encourage guys to stand around and be strong. It's not that challenging, but most of the guys, they don't like staying around it. You understand?
Yeah. Listen, so what do you do actually, Nicholas?
Me, for now, I qualified as a diesel mechanic.
Okay.
I was doing my work as my apprentice. I did it in the mining industry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fixing the trackless machinery underground. That's what I was doing.
What attracted you to it?
It comes back way from the home of which my father was just a mechanic, a normal mechanic we call them a bush mechanic, because they just fixing the cars on the side of the road, helping guys do that. That's what they were doing. So I've been attracted to do that. Like, I was seeing my father was always dead but having money. When we short of bread or something, he will just say, just take in my pocket to get some 5 francs so that you can buy bread. So I was attracted on that. But this guy is always dirty, but he's always having money. What gives him having money? Then I had to ask him, what must I do to be like you? Then he told me that, no, my son, you know what? I'm not qualified to do this, but there's a professionalism that you can go through it, of which to go to school and do your own trade and certificated college. Then maybe you can get the apprentice at the companies. Then that's where you can start, because I can't afford to pay the college, the training center, of which then was expensive. So the company, that's the one that they can pay for the college. Then you can go for training center and do all the programs. For us, it was for 3 years. I don't know now. I think it's 2 or less.
Okay. Nicholas, thank you very much. Thanks particularly for sharing your own experience. Wilson and Sam, guys, I'll give you a chance to respond just now. Let's just quickly go through the calls. Sihle is in Kimberley. Hello, Sihle.
Hi, good morning. Well, let me just get straight to the point. I think there's a bit of an elephant in the room in this interview that needs to be dealt with. Number one, and maybe your callers, your panelists, could speak to this. I found personally that in the past, some of the biggest issues are that FET training in some of these artisan skills was actually quite inaccessible, in the sense that there was no bursaries, for example, to attend these FETs. So on the one hand, someone who's just finished school perhaps did not have the money to go to university or a university of technology, and then had the FET option, but also couldn't go there too because, they couldn't afford the fees. So I know these days there are bursaries today, but maybe the legacy of that particular practice or belief that it's inaccessible still exists, which perhaps sees why we still don't have young people going into these professions.
What do you base that assertion on? Did you try to get a bursary?
In the past, yes. When I finished school, albeit I didn't have the problem necessarily of not getting into varsity, but there were options I was looking at as a young person, which were not in varsity, which were artisan skills. But I found that there actually were no bursaries to go to an FET school, but I was offered a lot of bursaries to go to university, and I took that option eventually, which gets me to my second point, Vuyo. When I then finished varsity, I interned, I won't name the company, but I interned at a temporary employment services firm, where I then found that a lot of people who are accessing these artisan skills are actually doing it through being employed, because the law actually makes it easier for an employed person to access these skills through a work skills plan and the Skills Development Act, for example, as opposed to someone who's not employed. So what these companies are doing, or these temporary employment services companies are doing, is that by virtue of the fact that they are taking people on to find them other work, they're then, in inverted commas, employing them, so to speak. So those people are then gaining access, or they're able to then be trained in these scarce skills through, in effect, labor brokers, if I may use that unpopular term.
Okay. Is there another point to make?
No, that's it. I just wanted your panelists to speak to that and see what they
think about it. Okay. Sikhle, thank you very much. Mfundo in Maluti. Good morning.
Hi, Molo.
Ndipfilile man, are you okay?
I'm good.
Are you at the famous Maluti FET College?
No, that's not the famous one. Not the famous one.
Okay.
I'm that one near Matapia.
Okay, all right. Yes, what's your point?
Yes. But Vuyo, my point is it possible to correspond with these FET colleges? Because, for instance, here in Maluti, there is an FET that is here, but you can't find all the artisan or so-called
programs. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Programs that want to engage on.
Okay.
So is it possible that you can correspond maybe in Cape Town or as we do in universities and on? Yes.
Yeah. We'll get Sam. Sam is CEO of the Umfolozi College. So we'll hear whether you can correspond with them, for example. Tiny is in Sandton. Good morning, Tiny.
Good morning, Vuyo, and your panel. I just need to find out quickly. I do community work in Kliptown, right? Kliptown and Eldorado Park.
Okay.
And I think the problem there is that, I think somebody else was speaking to said something to the effect that not all of us are meant to have, degrees and diplomas and things like that.
Yes.
And you find that a big chunk of these young ones in the township, they drop out of high school, right? Because academics is not meant for all of us, right? And then I don't think that the system caters for those boys who drop out of school out of Standard 7 and Standard 8, who have a passion to be either artisans, plumbers, electricians, and things that would not require you to have a matric certificate, which is the norm lately, you know. If you want to go to an FET college, you ask for a matric certificate or a grade 11 and things. What about those boys and girls who drop out of Standard 7? Because academically they're not coping. The question I have for your panel is the following. Is there a way of helping? If we as Kliptown people come approach them and say, we have 15 boys, can you train them as plumbers or can you train them as electricians? They do not have matric. But you see, because the problem is we'll still have all these societal problems of nyao beds and crime and robbery if we don't cater for that section of the community.
Okay, all right. Good question. Thank you very much. That's Tiny in Sandton. All right, let's go back to our panelists and just get a sense. Sam, Nicholas's experience, just what are your thoughts about it? Do you hear those kinds of stories often?
Vuyo, yes, and I think one would really encourage more of those stories to come up because I was also listening to another radio show last week at a different radio station. One very young prospective gentleman who has managed to establish his own motor mechanic business in around Durban, but who studied through an FET college, went through the process of becoming an artisan, and eventually started his own mobile mechanical business with the taxi industry. And from there, he has grown so much that he is now, established one of the very, very big businesses in Durban. So we would want to hear more of those stories because it also assists in changing the perceptions and the views about these kind of careers. And if one may go back to the launch of the National Artisan Development Conference that took place around the 4th of July last year, where the Minister of Education and Training, Dr. Nzimande, stated about 7 steps of taking this program forward of artisan development.
Yeah.
And one of the steps there, which I think it was the first step, was to focus on career guidance that is solely focused on artisan development.
Okay.
The issues around advocacy, the exposure of learners to actual work experience before making the choices.
Okay.
So I think we will want to hear more of
those kinds of stories. All right,
yes.
Just before we go to a break, quickly, Wilson, your thoughts on that particular matter, attracting more and more people to becoming artisans?
Thank you, Vuyo. I think Sisha of Kimberley alluded to the fact of inaccessibility of FET training. This has been the case for quite some time, but recently I think it's been noted that the Department of Higher Education and Training has made FET education and training progressively accessible, to the extent that the majority of the students at FET colleges today are actually there for free, because there is a near 100% bursary through NSFAS that is available to all public FET colleges in particular. So the issue of people being unable to afford is really no longer the issue. I think there has to be a lot of advocacy to ensure that people are on board in terms of this reality now, because if we are capable and we are competent and we are really prepared to be in an FET institution and do what it takes to be there, you will not be blocked by the fact that you do not have the financial resources
funding.
To go. You will actually be there.
Okay.
And then
just hang on a little bit. I want to take this break, Wilson. I'll come to you and offer you an opportunity to respond. Again, 27 minutes past 11.
Morning Talk on SAFM.
All right, Wilson, you wanted to complete your point. Wilson?
Yes, we are. Mfundo at Maluti.
Yes.
The Matatiel, he indicated that it's not the popular Maluti one, was asking as to whether there are correspondence programs offered by FET colleges. I think it's important because he's not the only one. We've come across a number of people who actually are eager to know whether, due to the other constraints that they have, whether they can still access FET college education towards the route of becoming an artisan without actually being physically there. I think it's important, Vuyo, for the listeners to note that one of the key tenets of becoming an artisan is entrenched around the practical training, where people would have to physically be there and would actually go through the training to acquire the practical, technical competencies while they are there. Whether they are in the workplace or they are in the FET college simulated environment, like in workshops, it is important that they have the opportunity to be physically there so that they could be exposed to the actual training itself. In this regard, particularly in the areas of the streams that are engineering related, it has not been promoted much to see quite a number of people acquiring that kind of training through correspondence because they are required to be there. But as things are gradually changing now, you'll find lots of other softer skills on the side of business skills and administration skills and other related skills. This is an area where colleges are now growing more and more to ensure that they begin to address the issues of non-contact correspondence.
Yeah, okay.
But we would encourage the situation where on the engineering, whatever mode they adopt is the one that does not compromise the value of practical hands-on exposure, which is not necessarily acquired through correspondence.
Okay, we'll come back, we'll give you a chance to respond, and also we'll focus on the issue of dropouts. If young people drop out without a matric, can they be admitted to FET colleges? I know that, Sam, you run the Umfolozi College, so we'll hear from you as well about what do you do with young people who don't have matric. It is 11:30 on Morning Talk on SAFM. Let's check in with Bongi Kwala and find out. Bongi, are you tracking the Pick It Up strike?
Yeah, I don't want to be breathalyzed.
Really?
Early in the morning on Monday? Hell no.
Why not?
Nah.
What have you got to hide?
Nothing. That's why I don't want to be breathalyzed.
No, but I mean, if you've got nothing to hide, I mean, you just go and you breathe in, breathe out, and you just go. Why must we let you come to work having slightly inebriated?
See, that's the thing. It's assumption. But anyway, Mondays.
But let's deal
Fridays.
with the assumption then. Let's deal with it so that we're not assuming. Let's be factual.
Yeah. Can you imagine doing it on Monday and on Fridays after lunch?
And those are the dangerous times. I think those times are chosen particularly because of the danger they pose.
Okay.
Historically and contextually, it's been established that productivity declines quite rapidly at these times, and this may or may not be associated with the use or no use of alcohol at work. Okay. So let's just deal with the issue. If not, I mean, I don't mind. I haven't taken any alcohol yesterday, so if you breathalyze me today,
you'll still be in the system.
I didn't take yesterday.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
And my show ends at 12, so if you breathalyze me at 1, I've been too busy to do anything.
All right. Something coming through just now from Nomalizo here saying that Britain is negotiating to compensate thousands of Kenyans who claim they were severely mistreated by their colonial rulers during the 1950s Mau Mau uprising. So we're talking to their lawyer right now. That story just coming through. But also Stats SA releasing the quarterly labor force survey for the first quarter of 2013. The market expects the country's first quarter jobless rate to be up slightly from the fourth quarter weight due to ongoing retrenchments in the mining sector. We know it's hovering around 25.5% thereabouts, so it will be interesting to see where are the figures right now. And of course, pick it up, the issue of breathalyzer and staff, so we'll be talking to them as well. COSAD in the Western Cape calling on all labour unions and management to agree on a 10% increment for striking bus drivers. Just some of the stories that we're looking at between 12 and 1 today, Vuyo.
Sounds interesting, Bongi.
Thanks, Vuyo.
Yeah, you must have an interesting program.
Swashbuckling.
It is the Swashbuckling Bongi Gwala on Midday Live from noon today here on SAFM. Remember, SAFM is South Africa's news and information leader. This is part of the reason why. Let's speak to Francois Fente and tell you about what's happening on the markets. Francois, good morning to you.
Good morning, Vuyo.
So, U.S. markets at record highs on strong jobs data.
Yes, well, the U.S. market, I think, had to open on Friday and then just continue sideways for the rest of the session. Quite a strong payroll number we saw last week with upward revisions for earlier payroll numbers as well. So a very strong jobs number in the U.S. The unemployment rate also at a 4-year low at 7.5%. So quite an impressive set of numbers, and the S&P closed up more than 1%, which was an all-time high for the index.
All right, and moving on to the JSE, it's better supported by the miners.
Yes, the local market also positive, and we're seeing some decent demand for the diversified miners like Anglers and Billiton. Gold miners also settling after quite a drastic underperformance on Friday. And we also have IFA's unemployment, the number just came out, which came out slightly higher than expected, 25.2%, but it has not had an impact on the market just yet. Just looking at the indices, also index is up 0.6%, resource and mining indices up 1%, the gold index up 0.4%, platinum index up 0.2%, financials and banks up to about 0.5% at the moment.
All right, and the rand is firmer, commodities are better?
Yes, rand slightly firmer, 8.95 against the US dollar, the euro at 11.73, British pound at 13.93. Gold and platinum prices slightly firmer, gold price $1,474 an ounce, platinum $1,497 an ounce, and the price of Brent crude at $104.70 a barrel.
Now, we haven't said this often in the last couple of weeks, but US futures are positive?
Yes, futures are positive, so it looks like the US will go even higher today.
All right. Thank you very much, Francois.
Thank you, Vuyo.
Francois Fente is an equities dealer at Investec Asset Management. The number to call is 0891 104 207. Quickly, just talking to Wilson Nzimande, an education and business consultant, and Sam Zungu is CEO of Umfolozi College. We're talking about artisans, training for artisanship. Tiny's question, Sam. If they brought to you young people who had dropped out of high school but could be trained, how do you deal with that, Sam?
I think one will have to refer back to what our Honourable Minister of Education and Training always says, Dr. Nzimande, that when the matric results are announced, he become excited like everyone in the country, because there's more people coming to the post-school education. But also, again, a challenge because the higher education and training fraternity does not just deal with those that have passed matric, but it also deals with those that are below the matric level. So that's why we call it post-school education, because it includes people that are still in education system or out of the or those that are out of the education system. Now, the issue of that Tiny has raised around the dropouts, remember that FET College programs are not just limited to the 2 exchequer programs which are known as the Report 191 or the N programs as they are popularly known, the N1s to N6. There's also the National Certificate Vocational. Those are the 2 exchequer programs. But apart from that, you also have what we call learnerships, which have to be done in conjunction with the SETAs. You also have apprenticeships that has to be done again with the employers as well as SETAs. Now, over and above that, you also have what we call short skills programs, which can be done with SETAs, but they are credit bearings, which means if the learner can do a particular unit standard, and the unit standard is a credit bearing, that at the end could also accumulate into a full qualification at a later stage. So the issue of dropouts, yes, if Tiny could visit the local FET College in that region and find out what are the programs that are available there which could be offered to those particular learners that have dropped out of the system. So the colleges do accommodate those ones. And we must also remember that within the higher education and training, you also have adult education and training, or what is now called IET. In the past, we used to call it Adult Basic Education and Training. Now it's called IET. So with that as well, students could also go through those kind of programs.
All right. Wilson, do you want to add anything quickly before we go to our callers?
Yes, I think it's important for Chinese in Sandton to know that the answer is yes, because most of the entry-level requirements at FET Colleges require a pass in grade 9. There are many students there with grade 10 or grade 11 or grade 12. So those who drop out of grade 12 will certainly be catered and they would fit in somewhere in terms of the qualifications they already have prior to dropping out of grade 12.
Okay, let's take some more calls at 0891 104 207. Norman is in Cape Town. Hello, Norman.
Hi, Vuyo. I just have a couple of questions, basically, Vuyo. Look here, because of the artisan colleges and so on, like the teachers' college and the nursing colleges is non-existent. I think Comrade Kada Asmal was the minister at the time, and he just closed it down and so on. Now, where is the trade test, the artisans? Because we in the township need actually these type of colleges. Many of our children, like even my own kid, is grade 11 and so on, but how do you access it, and how is there any database to show that how many people have qualified as a plumber or mechanic or any other artisan? How do they evaluate and measure the outcomes of these students and so on, and where they are working? Do they follow up these and so on, etc., so that our kids can love and know there's also an alternative? It's not only the university, but many of our children think the colleges, these FET colleges, is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Real. Thank you.
In fact, the last point that you make, we must just check with Sam Zungu. Sam, that perception, how are you dealing with it at Umfolozi? Are FET colleges a waste of time?
Vuyo, I think that is the perception in the public.
Yeah.
But I think, again, coming back to the topic, because we had to deal with this issue of stigma and so on, I think that's why this has been taken to the highest office of the country. Remember that the president on the 4th of April 2012, he met with all the FET College principals as well as the college councils to deal with that issue as well. But over and above that, when the minister launched the 2013 as the Year of Artisans, he was accompanied by the Deputy Minister of Education and Training, Mr. Nzimande, who is championing this particular project and is going around the country to educate our young people, to educate our communities as well in terms of the routes that one could take in becoming an artisan. But over and above that, around again, you need the buy-in from companies, because as I've said earlier on, to train an artisan is not just a college, duty on its own. It needs that working relation with a lot of other parties. Could be industry, could be the very same government departments, because if you take municipality, for instance, all municipalities will have an engineer, because to train an artisan, the trainee or the apprentice should be supervised by a qualified engineer.
Sam, I just want to give Jay an opportunity in Durban. Jay, very quickly, what's your point?
Yeah, my point is that, we have a lot of qualified people that are retired. Get them on the program. And there are many, many schools in and around Durban, Phoenix, and Chester that are hardly utilized. Towards the afternoon, these classes can be run in these schools, and at the same time safeguard the premises of the schools. And this way, we get the children off drugs and criminal activities. I'm very, very much in favor of this kind of a thing, and we are trying to promote this, especially in our area in Chatsworth, where people would technology and all other artisan skills give back to society what you have gained in your youthful years. Okay.
Jay, thank you very much in Durban. Gentlemen, unfortunately we've run out of time, but thank you very much for the insight you've shared with us. Wilson Nzimande is a consultant. Sam Zungu runs the Umfolozi FET College. Thank you for your time this morning.